What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here on this Tuesday afternoon in Lawrence. An absolutely gorgeous day. Sean Kellerman and Daniel Courtwright. Elijah Schmidt with you today, kansasnation.com.
Both wearing sweater. We don't even need them today.
My choice was easy today.
Sure.
Because my daughter's outfit said Daddy's Girl. It's really cute. So I was like, man, I break out the girl dad.
Did you say dad girl?
Yes.
Girl dad.
And I got her initials right there. Look at that.
It's personalized and everything.
Custom made.
Who did that?
I'll give you one guess. My wife. Good guess.
Makes sense.
Yes. No. Very, very proud of this sweater. In fact, at daycare this morning when I dropped Ava off, I had her daycare provider take a picture of us. It's adorable. Got it on my phone. Maybe I'll share it on my personal socials. Maybe not.
Yeah.
We'll see. Talking KU Duke. Big one tonight at Madison Square Garden, 8 p.m. tip-off, 6:30 Crimson and Blue Show coverage on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The number 24 ranked Jayhawks, the number 5 ranked Blue Devils. We'll do a deep dive on this edition of Duke here in the opening segment, plus an update on the status of Darren Peterson as well. Next segment, we're going to hear from the head football coach, Lance Leipold. He spoke to reporters yesterday. We'll hear his press conference in full, and a word or two on KU football, which, of course, after tonight's big basketball game, we'll pick up coverage in advance of the KU-Iowa State game coming up in Ames, 11 a.m. on Saturday. Following that, we are going to do a quick game picks segment because there's a couple marquee college basketball games and a little sports whip around as well. And then after that, we are going to be joined by a very special guest. First time, I don't want to say first time friend of the show, first time appearance on the show.
We've known it for a long time.
For Jayhawk Slants and Rivals.com's Shay Wildeboor. Shay, a guy who I have some things in common with, but probably what I most have in common with Shay is a love for Christmas Day and Christmas season. Shay is often on social media showing photos of lights, and he goes all out in his yard.
Man, good for Shay.
I don't have the amount of decorations that he has that I need, but yeah, they've got the inflatables and the lights and the inside, and big Christmas guy, so respect that.
Which, by the way, we pre-recorded Shay. The reason I'm telling you this is because this was before the news broke that Darren Peterson's not going to be playing. So we talked a little bit about that, but also the Zoom cutoff right before you were able to
I know. I wanted to ask him about Christmas and then lost some connection.
About this.
Yeah, no.
He goes all out.
He's a big fan, man, and he starts pretty early. Like it's been up for a couple weeks. I try. I just told my wife yesterday.
On the outside or
the inside? Mainly the inside.
More an inside guy. Sure.
But you know, if I'm able to get a bigger house, bigger yard sometime, then ideally.
Get a nice house.
My wife is
what
actually...
Is it, 15 bedrooms, 14 baths?
Something like that, yeah. My wife isn't a big fan of the inflatables because she doesn't like when they're expensive to keep on, but more so the fact that because of that, you have to turn them off, so then they deflate.
Sure.
So then they're just sitting in your yard, like during the daytime.
So I think I like them when they're just like ridiculously big. Like if you've been to Menards, they have the 25-foot Santa Claus. You're like, that's awesome.
I know, but you have to like be all in. Like you got to have 6 or 7 in your yard.
You can't just have that one.
But again, it looks like when they're deflated, it looks like a crime scene in your yard.
It does.
So you have to have them
Santa melted. You're like, oh god.
Yeah. Anyway, our conversation via Zoom with Shay Wildeboor will be at the beginning of the 5 o'clock hour. He not only is going to talk about KU Duke, but he's also with Jayhawk Slant and Rivals, a recruiting expert as well. So he'll give his thoughts on the 4 guys committing to KU officially last week, as well as a potential top target that you won't want to miss.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, make sure that you're staying tuned at 5 o'clock. Shay Wildeboor joins the show. Following that, we have a special top 10.
You said special.
Yeah, not very special.
No, this is a special one.
It's holidays, so I'm in a better mood.
This is a fun one. I kind of let my creative side go a little bit. I usually do that with the top 10s, but this one's kind of it's a double top 10, but just for me. So I'm doing my top 10 sports figures that I'd bring to Thanksgiving and what side they would be bringing.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Like what side, just whoever you invite.
So
they
like
if
it were me, I would bring like a Coca-Cola Classic.
Yes.
Or it has to match your personality.
No. Or you would bring a 6-pack of energy drinks with a skateboarding lizard on the side.
Yeah, that works. Elijah Schmidt would bring Jimmy John's bag.
Yes. Jimmy John's bag.
Maybe some Jimmy John's pasta salad. Gabe Boucher would bring a 24-pack of plastic cups so that he could pour all of his drinks into them because he doesn't drink drinks out of a can.
Yeah. So it's just what they would bring, basically.
Yeah. I had another good one that
I spent like an hour like writing jokes for this, so it'll be a good one.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can be efficient with that because we want to hear from Nate Lee.
That's right.
To close the show. KU soccer in the second round of the NCAA tournament. They are heading to Durham to take on 6 seed Louisville, are the 3 seed Jayhawks. That match is going to be Thursday at 3 p.m. So we're going to hear from Nate Lee before that goes down. All right, let's talk KU Duke here. Bill Self saying a little bit earlier today, this going on KU Hoops official Twitter account, that DP won't play tonight. Here's the quote from Coach. Darren continues to make progress from his hamstring strain. He will be reevaluated at the end of the week, end quote. Let's start with that. This is going to be something that hopefully we don't deal with all year, but unfortunately, third straight game missed for Darren Peterson.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at this. Okay, so I want you to look at the other games that he's missed. And you can look at those as an evaluation period for the other guys on the squad of like, all right, well, this will give Melvin some confidence. This will give, Bryson or Flory or Jaden Dawson or Omarco or whoever, Cole Rosario. It'll give all those guys confidence, to play without DP against Princeton, against, Corpus Christi, against, Fort Hays State, whatever it may be. But against Duke, it's a little different for a number of different reasons. But number one, it's Duke. They're the number 5 team in the nation as of right now. They have a lottery pick in Cam Boozer. They have a ton of different talent on their squad as well. Former, KU recruit Dame Sars on this squad. Isaiah Evans is looking really good. They have a big guy down low, Patrick Ngongba the second. I mean, they're stacked to the brim with fully loaded guys. So without DP, this is going to be a big challenge. Now, I almost look at DP missing those few games beforehand as a good sign, because now these guys know how to play without Darren Peterson, and now they're coming up against their toughest opponent yet, right? You lost to North Carolina. That sucks. You had DP in that game, though, right? So I'm almost like not super worried just about the game in general. Now, with Darren Peterson missing so much time, yes, I know it sucks. We're spending a lot of money on this kid, and the hamstring continues to be an issue, and it's one thing after another. But you and I talked about this off air. I think we both get the general feel that DP is a competitor, and he wants to be out there. He's not this load management diva type of guy. And we'll talk to Shay about it a little bit later. Shay brought up a great point of like, look, he knows like this does not look good to NBA scouts too, right? If it's a situation where he just is not going to play against lesser opponents and he's only going to show up for the big games, right? So Darren Peterson knows that. His agents know that. His camp knows this. Bill Self knows this. So if he's really out against Duke for this Duke game, it is probably something serious. So you need to get him rested up for Big 12 play. And we continue to talk about this. There's a lot of big games coming up. Springer said it yesterday about how he doesn't really care about the wins and losses right now. All he cares about basically is like how healthy is DP going into Big 12 play, and where does Kansas wind up in the Big 12? Because Big 12 stacked, right? I mean, you look at the gauntlet that Kansas has in this non-con with UConn, with Mizzou, with Duke, right? You already played North Carolina, a number of different whoever we're playing on the Wednesday in the Players Era tournament is probably going to be somebody really, really good. So yeah, you have those, but the Big 12 is the best basketball conference in the nation by far, right? With Houston, Tech, Iowa State, BYU, everybody in the Big 12, you need to have DP healthy for that. So does it suck? Absolutely. Does it take eyeballs away from a potential lottery pick matchup between Boozer and Peterson? Yes, of course it does. But at the end of the day, you need him to be healthy.
It's a major bummer. I mean, this is the marquee matchup. This is the marquee event in college basketball. It's not the first game of the season, but essentially this is the welcoming of college basketball to the world, right? You have the 2 big months in November where you have Feast Week and all that. And then, of course, you have March for March Madness, the NCAA tournament, and a lot of important big games and marquee matchups in between. But Champions Classic, since it started about 15 years ago, has been the ultimate main event to where, hey, ESPN, this is what we're focusing on right now. This is what the spotlight is on. And that's why they're able to have it at these big, I guess, as marquee, as great arenas that we can offer in
It's
the
the
United
best. I
States.
mean,
I mean,
it's the
Madison
best
Square
arena
Garden
in
is
America.
basketball.
Yeah.
So you don't get to see, to your point, a matchup of potential lottery picks in Darren Peterson and Cam Boozer. Plus, there's going to be more scouts at this event with Kentucky and Michigan State. Michigan State, we joke about them, but they've got a couple really good players who are going to go on to the NBA
Yeah, for sure.
as well, and certainly Kentucky does as well. Scouts are going to be everywhere to be found at this thing, and DP is going to unfortunately be in street clothes. So yes, that's really disappointing. And to your point about going forward, Kansas' next game is going to be Monday at 2:30 in Vegas. You like to think, just from a timeline standpoint, Peterson will be able to feel better. With hamstrings, you don't know. You really just don't know.
Yeah.
If it's a back injury or a hamstring injury, those are the types of things that you just have to rest and wait till they're fully healed. And you certainly understand everybody who plays a part in making this decision wanting to play it safe and making sure that he's in the best shape possible. Darren Peterson is a competitor. He wants to win. He was asked before the season started, what is a successful season? Championships, Big 12 championship, national championship. That's what he said. That's what he wants. And for Kansas to win the Big 12, they don't have to beat Duke tonight. I'm not saying we're okay with a loss. We're never going to be okay with the loss. Kansas is viewed as a bigger underdog than maybe I've ever seen in my life tonight, honestly, because
we were talking about this off air too. This might be the biggest line that we've seen.
And Duke
in our lifetime
is really good. And Shay's going to have a little bit more of a breakdown on that later. And Dan's got some numbers as well. But you got to get Peterson healthy. Hopefully he can go, just like we said about the Duke game. He's not going in the Duke game. Hopefully he can go in Vegas, because that's obviously a very important event in the world of NIL. So we'll see how it goes. That being said, there's a game to play tonight. And we'll talk more about Duke, but there are some guys who are going to have to step up. A career night for Flory Badunga. He had 25 and 10, of course, against Princeton. Trey White had 18 and 8. We talked a lot about his ability to get to the free throw line. KU has good pieces. They're going to need better play from Melvin Council and Elmarco Jackson. Melvin Council is going to have to hit some shots, and Jackson, if he's the one out there, is going to have to contribute in some way. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more Jaden Dawson as well, given the fact that KU is going to need a scoring punch. And honestly, this may be a game, Dan, where, yeah, you need Flory to be good and you need him to stay on the court. Boozer's so good at getting people in foul trouble. But this, for Kansas to win, may be a game, just because Kansas doesn't have the talent that it would if it had Peterson, where a guy like Bryson Tiller needs to score like 26, 28 points in this game and have kind of his moment, like a big moment. It doesn't have to be Tiller. It has to be somebody, though, if KU wants to go out. The alternate option is, of course, mucking it up and finding a way defensively, and that's probably the more likely option, is grind through it and create some extra possessions, hit the offensive glass, 50-50 balls, be tough, make Duke doubt themselves, all that. But, you're going to need some guys to shine offensively without DP's firepower.
Yeah, I think, and you brought up a number of different points, and I'll kind of hit on all of them. Talking about Flory, right? He needs to have a career game. And coming off the Princeton game, I think is going to be huge for him, right? Obviously, 25 points. He was a monster on the boards. He looked really good down low. And they have a guy down low who's probably going to be on Flory, Patrick Ngangba, right? Because realistically, Cam Boozer, he plays that power forward position. He can also stretch it out to the three. I don't know if Cam Boozer is going to be on him. It's going to be Ngangba. And Flory needs to absolutely swallow him up on the defensive end of the ball. Ngangba, he's averaging 2.3 turnovers per game. That's a lot of turnovers, right? For a center. So not only does Flory have to do a good job of kind of swallowing up and not allowing him to seal him off and get those edges, but you need to have help on there as well. Ngangba likes to keep the ball down low. You need to have your guards go over, help out, swat at the balls when he's making those moves, right? You just need to have as much help as you can down low, because that's really where Kansas is going to attack these guys, is down low. I think that obviously Cam Boozer is a hell of a rim protector. So is Ngangba, but you need to have Flory play well. And then I think this is, like you said, it's going to be Bryson Tiller game. It's a lot to ask for a guy to literally turn into Superman and be like, hey, Bryson, we know you're coming off the bench. Can you score 28 points for us? It's a big ask, but that's the kind of thing that has to happen if the first situation, like you said, where Kansas comes out victorious, if that's the case. Now, if they want to muddy it up, they certainly can do that as well, right? Kansas does a great job on the defensive end. I think that's really been the highlight of the year so far, as the defensive part of the ball, aside from maybe that first half against Princeton and the second half against North Carolina. I thought the defenses look spectacular, right? Trey White has a really high defensive upside. Same with Melvin Council. But looking at some of the numbers, and I want to talk about Melvin Council for a little bit. Melvin Council is going to be the guy for this game. He's the one who's, I mean, maybe he's not going to be bringing up the ball every time, because that's probably going to be Marco Jackson. But Melvin Council, to me, very similar, worse numbers than DeJuan Harris last year, right? He's 0 for 9 on threes. He's shooting 35% from the field in general. You have got to have more offensive production out of Melvin Council Jr. He has the best assist to turnover ratio on the team, right? 3.2, which is really good, right? 28 assists to 6 turnovers, I believe, is what it was. It's 3.8 turnover ratio. It's really, really good. He's a good facilitator. But Duke, they rank 326th in opposing team 3-point rate, 46.9. So Kansas has got to be able to hit shots on the offensive end of the ball. That's going to be the biggest thing. So you need Melvin to hit at least 2 to 3, and you need Rosario to show up big time in this game, hitting those 3-pointers. Same with Bryson Tiller.
I think, I mean, we talked about Tiller getting 26, 28 points. It could be Rosario, right? It's got to be somebody who answers the call on that front, because KU is going to have to score. I think that Kansas will, in a situation where they're able to win this game and pull off what many prognosticators would say would be a major upset in this game, if KU is able to knock off a top 5 team and Duke without Darren Peterson, then they're going to have to hold Duke into the 60s, right? That's a Bill Self type ugly game, right? That's what we want, and we're going to need that more so than usual, because you don't have DP's firepower like we talked about. Council's got to be better, more efficient offensively. I do expect him to bring the ball up. He'll be on the ball the majority of the time. Jackson didn't even start last game. Marco just hasn't played well this season, and we'll see if he can flip the switch. I'm sure he can. Still a little rusty, but Tiller I expect to get the start, and KU will go with the 2 bigs. And also, going back to Boozer, his ability to draw fouls, you do have some guys, even without Peterson, that you can throw in there and get some fouls, right? I mean, you can have Mbia get you 6 to 8 minutes and just, provide you a few fouls to give if you need, if Boozer's becoming a problem. Now, they don't only have Boozer, but I expect to see a little bit more Paul Mbia than we saw against Princeton when he only came in at the end. But Duke has struggled in guarding the 3-point line. This could be a let it fly type scenario for KU.
Well, so Duke has struggled with guarding the 3-point line, but in terms of field goal percentage, they're number 2 in the nation in opposing team field goal percentage. So, like I said, you have to attack them down low, but that doesn't mean you're going to make them all, right? So, to me, looking at this is either A, you get hot from 3 and you get hot fast, or you muddy it up. You have to keep Duke under 60, under 65 maybe is probably the ceiling that you want to see out of Duke, right? Because opposing team field goal percentage, 38.1% is all they're giving up, right? Now, granted, if you look at Duke's schedule, haven't played really anybody. They played Texas early in the year, and, what wasn't – Texas is not very good. They haven't played really anybody, right? So this is going to be Duke's first real test against a top caliber type team, which I think is going to be very important. So maybe Kansas gets off to a hotter start than they would imagine. They maybe get on their heels early. I think Kansas needs to attack early. I think they need to get to the rim early, get Flory, get a couple free throws up. And something that we talked about yesterday is probably one of the bigger things in this game is how often does Kansas get to the free throw line? Because again, you're stopping that momentum. You're stopping the runs that Duke tends to go on. And B, you're likely to get some of their guys in foul trouble. Now, they have a ton of different guys who rotate in, right? I mean, looking just down their stats, right? They have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys who average 20 plus points per game. And then they have minutes. Minutes. Yeah, not points. Minutes per game. They have a couple of other guys who are just below that, with Malik Brown averaging 16.5 minutes per game and Darren Harris averaging 15.3 minutes per game. So they have a lot of rotational pieces, right? They have depth. We know that they have depth. But if you can get Cam Boozer in foul trouble early, if you can get Paul Ngangba in foul trouble early, maybe even Caleb Foster, maybe Dame Sarr, right? you need to get the free throw line. That is another way that Kansas could potentially stick in this game and win it.
And some of the reason that Duke has so many guys playing so many minutes is they've won some blowouts, right?
Of course.
4-0, 75-60 was the game against Texas. They beat Western Carolina 95-54 at Cameron Indoor. Then they went up to Army in the Mike Krzyzewski revenge game and won 114-59. And then they beat Indiana State 100-62. So it's been a lot of blowouts for Duke. And then after KU, they get Niagara and Howard. So maybe a couple more blowouts. So needless to say, this is one of the games on Duke's schedule that they're looking at, even though they're viewed now as large favorites in the absence of Darren Peterson. Boozer, Duke's best player, probably going to be a top 5 pick in the draft. 22.5 points, 10.3 rebounds per game, also over 4 assists per game. You rarely see that from a big.
Assists.
And 1.8 steals, 1.8 blocks. He can do everything. You see why he's such a top tier talent. Isaiah Evans, 13 points. And Patrick Ngangba, as you mentioned, he's averaging 11.3 points per game. Sarr, nearly 10. Foster, he's a program guy. He's got 9. And then Boozer, of course, has a twin brother, Caden Boozer, the sons of Carlos Boozer, who had a really, really successful and long NBA career after his time, national championship winning time at Duke. Those guys are both really good. Kansas, if they win the 3-point battle, I think that'll be big. If you can be plus 18, plus 21 from beyond the arc, that would be massive in this game. But usually the recipe for success in a game like this, when you're a little bit undermanned, is to muddy it up. And that's what Bill Self loves.
I think because Kansas, I know they're in the minus in the turnover ratio on the season as of right now, which is bad. You got to win the turnover battle too. That's something that we haven't talked about.
I want to see a little bit more havoc created from Council and Jackson.
Yeah.
If you're going to be out there, like, let's steal some extra possessions. Let's find a way.
That's the thing. If you're not producing offensively, you better hustle your butt off on the defensive end of the ball and create those turnovers, create those transition points. Kansas is really good in transition. I will say that this is one of the better transition teams that we've seen, at least in the last couple of years, right? I mean, you're seeing guys run down the court and make some, awesome dunks and awesome finishes in transition. So, but what starts that is those turnovers, and Melvin Council has to do one of two things, hopefully both, is either A, hit your damn 3-pointers and shoot higher than 35% from the entire field, or B, get a ton of steals, be in those passing lanes, and like you said, create havoc, create chaos in those passing lanes. You got to suffocate them.
5:30 is Michigan State, Kentucky. Kentucky a small favorite in that one. And then half hour after that one goes final will be KU Duke right around 8 p.m. Again, coverage will start on Sports Radio 810 WHB 630. Can KU find a way to get a top 5 win? How huge would that be for this morale of this team? They can do it. They've got the guys. They've just got to play their cards right, hopefully hit some shots. And hopefully we get DP back before the Players Era Festival. It goes down Monday, Tuesday, and then either Wednesday or Thursday of next week. After this, transitioning to a little KU football, we're going to hear from head football coach Lance Leipold on Rock Chalk Sports. Thanks for watching, KansasNation.com. Big game tonight, KU Duke at the Champions Classic, Madison Square Garden in New York City. And we're going to have more coverage on that a little bit later. Just past the 5 o'clock hour, Shay Wildeboor of Jayhawk Slant is going to join the show to talk KU Duke and some other things in advance of the big game. Hawks 3-1, Blue Devils are 4-0. Right now, though, we're going to transition over to KU football. Head coach Lance Leipold met with the media yesterday for his weekly press conference. Of course, the Hawks taking on the Cyclones of Iowa State, 11 a.m. at Jack Trice Stadium on Saturday. Here's Coach.
Start, Henry. Hey, Lance, how did this bye week go overall, and was it different at all given that it's the third and you haven't had 3 of them this season before?
Yeah, it's definitely unique to have 3 of them. I thought it went well. We tweaked it a little bit differently than the other 2. We gave the guys off Saturday and Sunday practice today. Some guys got out of town, a chance to go home and stuff. We kind of tweaked the middle practice a little bit. It was more instructional and slowed the pace down on that one. But practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on the field, and then had some lifting and meetings on the other 2 days. So pretty consistent. I thought they were spirited and moved around pretty well today on the grass.
Is there any reason why you tweaked it, or?
talking with our leadership group, they kind of asked about the 2 days of maybe some time mentally, then versus practicing Sunday and having off today. So they talked about it. We looked at it, and I thought at this stage, kind of, you said with 3 of these that it was worth doing, and kind of giving it a little extra break, and really kind of help the bodies hopefully a little bit as we head into these last 2.
Okay, questions?
Against Arizona, Jaleel got a lot of playing time at corner. Saeed had some when he came back from the suspension. How do you feel about where you guys are at with corner, especially since moving Jalen Todd inside?
I thought, Jaleel Hurley, first of all, is a very, very, very talented young player. Continues to work on consistency and those things, but I think he has strung together his best time since he's been a Jayhawk. He's had some really good practices, been able to contribute some on special teams, and he earned the right to be out there, and he's done a good job. Saeed, has played some of the nickel spot, and then, being out at corner, having to sit out that first half, I thought he played pretty well again. Had a nice pass breakup, possible pick there that didn't happen, but overall, looking at where we're at, even with Jalen playing at the nickel spot, we feel good, that probably as good as we have felt all year about the depth and the health of the 4 guys playing.
Dak Brinkley had 2 sacks against Arizona. Now that he's back healthy, what have you liked about what he's shown you in practice and during the games?
Yeah, he's done a really good job in pass rush. Is one of probably, Leroy probably being our best pass rushers, obviously. The thing that you're really pleased with Dak is he's always kind of shown flashes of having a chance to help this team, but he's starting to string together the consistency in his approach and practice. And that's just maturing sometimes to understand about. You got to be able to go out there each and every day, because Dak would have a good week, and then he may have as good a week the next week. And Ty Wolves kind of had those talks with him in that, but again, he's stringing, like a couple of these other guys, they're stringing together some good work here late down the stretch and earn themselves more time.
Yeah, when it comes to some of those younger guys, redshirt freshmen, redshirt sophomores, do you feel like they are starting to push as the season goes on, pushing for kind of that playing time?
I think it's, again, I think so. I think we have guys that continue, to get better, have an opportunity to push for more for that time. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that.
During the bye week, did you guys have several points of focus or things that you really went in after doing some self-scout that you decided really, hey, we need to focus on this and improve that? Were there some specifics you guys had?
Again, trying to work specific, probably, red zone areas again, still continue, what, as I said to you guys before, that's always part of what we're doing, trying to get some more competitive part on that on Thursday, working those areas, being more consistent, probably breaking up our early scout team stuff. I think we did some more situational things of areas where, again, we weren't good in third downs in Tucson, and to be able to be better than that down the stretch is going to be critical.
So
And just on that, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
And to just when we do the red zone stuff, we do that late in practice, offense versus deep. So we're trying to do it at the end of practice, like end of game, trying to simulate the best you can within practice.
It's sort of a follow to that, but when you have extra time like that, especially this late in the season, did you find anything that you didn't expect that maybe you will emphasize over the last couple of games that you've thought, well, didn't see that coming, or is it kind of you are who you are and it's just fine tuning and tweaking and things like that?
You're always trying to, to keep evaluating yourself, reevaluating, looking at players, like kind of some of the things you talk about, who's coming on late that can give you some snaps when other guys are wearing down a little bit. But I do think, Matt, that it's still critical late in the year when you're always analyzing player load and things like that, and where the bodies are at and where they're at mentally. You still got to stay true to fundamentals. You really do. You got to make sure you don't if you're looking to trim some things down in practice, you still got, like, last week, you know, we did a special teams tackling circuit, things like that. Again, defense does tackling circuits weekly and things like that, but your offensive players who play special teams, you don't have a chance every week within the model to always get that. So to make sure they're working on some of those things, ball security, all the little things, takeaways, all the things that we want to try to make sure that we're staying in tune to, we want to keep there.
And then you had mentioned, I think before Arizona, that Daniel and Leishon were as good as they've been health-wise, still there, and how good is
Not
that
as
feel?
good as we'd like right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not as good as we'd like coming out of that one.
Sure.
We'll see what it takes us.
Lance, when you look over Iowa State, what do you see from them?
Again, you know, Matt Campbell and his staff have been so consistent, done such a great job there. They got off to a great start. They've been hit hard by the injury bug and things that kind of probably took their season a little bit different than what it was heading. But again, a big win for them down at TCU. Talented physical football team, well coached. Again, when you talk, you know, about these other things, you talk about a team that still plays with great fundamentals and smart, even though they, like I said, have been hit hard in some spots. Rocco Beck's an excellent quarterback. I've always enjoyed watching him play. I just think as far as a guy who's very consistent, operates the way they want him to operate that offense, it's been impressive. Two excellent running backs who run hard, okay? Motions and shifts and alignments with the use of their tight ends. I put them with K-State, and there's, you know, always impressive tight ends, always use them very well. Obviously, they lost a couple of receivers in the NFL last year, brought in some other guys. They've been productive for them as well. Jayhawk on defense has done a great job in that 3-3-5 with the star player and give you a lot of different looks, cause confusion, utilize a lot of different things. Dominic Orange, the local guy here, that very impressive. He's had the kind of career that all of us felt he would as a college football player. So all those things are going to, you know, force us to be at our best. I think again, when you looked at the early part of the year, that you know, Iowa State was a team that many thought would, you know, had a chance to play for the conference championship, and I'm sure they look at after getting their 6th win that they still have a way to have an excellent football season, and they're going to be ready to go.
You guys have won 3 straight against them. Is there something in the matchups there that have favored you? Or?
No, we just have to make sure we're ready to go again. We've had some really good close ball games with them on the way, and I can still remember, and I talked to some of the guys who are still here. Remember our first year going up there, and they really got after us, and that was one that probably showed that we're a long ways away, and then obviously we've been able to close gaps on people and stuff, but we've got to be able to go up there and be at our best, play our best football of the year, and find a way to get our 6th win, and that's the focus.
How is Kelly and your family
Well,
doing?
I appreciate you asking. She's doing fine. It's been a long fall, John. It has been. Appreciate everyone that's reached out, people that have helped, contribute to what she thought was really important. She had surgery last week and recovering now. So, but appreciate your thoughts, and she's tough, and it's kind of sad that you gotta schedule, family surgeries around open weeks and stuff like that. Truly blessed, but thoughts and prayers are appreciated, and she'll battle.
Forgive the question if this is something that doesn't happen, but when you hired DK, do you talk to Matt Campbell at all, or what does it kind of look like with DK's experience at Iowa State?
I didn't talk to Matt. I'm trying to remember if I did briefly. I think I did. Talk to others Jason Cannon and some others that do some other connections of research that way. But I can remember way back, even in my first year at Buffalo, and Matt was still head coach at Toledo, looking at his staff and seeing DK's name. And you know, when DK was a name and expressed interest in our job, just because of Matt's background and how he's gone about it and how he's been consistent at a place that's not easy to win, that was highly attractive to me. And I still feel that way about DK, and because of some of the things that are always, when you look at programs like that and the success that they've had.
Lance, when you look back at the Arizona game, I think the defense kind of stepped up in a little ways outside of that last drive, but do you see anything different in that game versus some of the games where you guys have played at other prolific passers and not quite?
No, I agree with you. You know, again, I mean, I said that about, you know, late game decisions, was I thought we were playing some of our better football and defensively, and it felt like we had a good beat on what they were trying to do, and again, getting 5 sacks and being aggressive, and you know, there were some little wrinkles and some things that we threw at them, and I thought we executed well. But again, I think there were some things that, you know, we went into that game pretty healthy too, in some spots, and I thought that we played with really good energy and things like that. So.
And obviously, Ames is always a difficult place to play in. Is there anything you guys do differently for Iowa State to kind of simulate the environment that they have versus like other teams per se?
There's only so much. I mean, you know, most away games will overemphasize, you know, crowd noise and things like that, continue to make that very difficult in practice to communicate, almost to the point where, I've ever shared this story, we were at Buffalo, we were going to play at Penn State, and you know, that's a pretty loud place, and we cranked it so loud that the players actually said that the game was quieter than practice. It was easier. So I guess if you can, whatever you have the resources to you to make it very close to possible, that they have to really, because what you really have to do again is then focus on how much you have to do, the little things like you talk about, the details, but with communication in your eyes, and you know, not relying on, you know, somebody always telling you, you got to get the signal, you have to get the, you have to see things, and that's what we try to emphasize that.
I think this may have come up a little bit last year with Baylor, but like, what's the dynamic or the challenge of playing against a team on their senior day?
Probably managing the early rush of emotion that a lot of times that team will come out with. They'll be usually like, you know, it can go either way. I think we've talked in the past. Sometimes I've been part of programs where, you know, we do senior talks in our program here now. Coach Gildersleeve does a lot of those at the end of the summer workouts. And one of those reasons was way back when I first became a head coach, we used to do them the Friday night before the senior day game. And they got very emotional and very draining, and a point to where you're actually flat going into it. But many times going into it, you can see that extra energy and enthusiasm that a lot of these people, the seniors and teams will take the field with you. You just got to make sure that you kind of weather any of that early and let it get back into game mode and go from there.
And then just going off your comments about the running back health not being where you want it to be, is that the same with the rest of the team, or do you feel like the team in general is in a pretty good place health-wise?
We're decent right now. I think it's going to wait 48 more hours to really see it, right? But we're decent, not as good as we were heading to Tucson, but we'll see, and have great faith in our training staff and doctors that will get us as close as possible.
Reflecting on the Arizona game, I think you talked post-game that you weren't sure if that 4th and 2 call, if you would call it the same way looking back on it. Has your perspective on that play changed at all in the things?
No, I'd probably look, again, if you could look in the crystal ball that says you're not going to slow them down and enough to prevent it. The variables of Jalen not being on the field with that, but I'd probably look back at it if you ask me again right now, because especially if you've seen what happened, yeah, I'd have gone for it. and can't do much about it. It still eats at me. You know, and we were going for it until it was said that Jalen wasn't in the game, and so. But again, to put that on anyone other than myself, that's on me, and made the wrong choice.
Anything else for Coach?
It's KU head football coach Lance Leipold earlier this week, talking Iowa State and much more regarding KU football. Didn't love the, I guess, hesitation regarding the health of the running backs, right? Because KU, as we've discussed, really has only had a couple games where they've had both Highshaw and Williams. You got to have those guys because JD is going to be at his best when you have the rushing game element as well, and we're going to need that if we want to knock off the Cyclones.
Yeah, especially with the way that that Iowa State kind of runs their defense, right? Because they run a 3-3-5 with 3 high safeties with a rover who does like to play in the run fits, but they've had some injuries back there. But in order to be able to defeat that 3 high safety with the 2 cover corners on the outside, you got to establish a run game, right? Or else you get predictable, and that's how they kind of beat you with that style of defense. So the run game needs to be there for sure, and you certainly hope that both of those guys are at full strength. And if neither one of them's at full strength, then I guess. Who knows how this game is going to go. But this is Kansas's best opportunity to make a bowl game for sure, because Utah looks really good. It's going to be a really, 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 big game on Friday. So got to get it here. Just get that 6th win, get bowl eligible, and then you can worry about Utah later. And if your running back game is healthy, if you establish your run game like Kansas has been able to do over the past couple of games, then you're going to be okay.
Interesting. We were talking to Nolan Gorsica earlier today, and we're going to have that for you later in the week. Offensive tackle, 5th year, playing college football.
Tight end.
Hybrid tight end now, right?
Yeah.
He said he's probably touched a football 7 or 8 times in his life, and that's mostly falling on fumbles or blocking field goals in high school, that sort of thing. Isn't that funny? Just kind of how football works.
Yeah.
It's like you have players who just never, ever touch football.
Right.
But I don't know. He said he ran a route or two, and one of his coaches said not too bad. So who knows? Maybe something, if KU's able to get to a bowl game, that'd be fun to see, right?
But to that point, because obviously, we joke about him playing tight end, but he is really that kind of extra, blocker.
6th offensive lineman.
Yeah, 6 offensive linemen that you bring in. So if you're going up against a 3-man front, that leaves 3 guys open to kind of get to that second level of defense where those linebackers are, who like to bring a lot of pressure. So that does make you feel good about the matchups. And I think we're probably going to see a lot more of that against this style of defense. And if Iowa State doesn't adjust to it, I think Kansas is going to have a lot of fun with it. But you got to get the running backs healthy first.
KU's got to make some big plays too. Ideally, in the run game, we haven't seen a lot of burst plays from those guys. We've seen some solid outings as a whole, but not a lot of burst plays, and we need to get back to the big play offense that we had earlier in the season. Emmanuel Henderson had a couple long touchdown catches.
Yeah.
Can we get Levi Wentz involved? Some of these other guys we haven't heard as much from. Cam Pickett against Fresno State had a couple nice touchdown passes. Can we somehow get the big play offense on track, which involves good play in the trenches? It involves Jalen Daniels being on the money, and it involves the receivers catching the balls, right? We got to put it together, and certainly it starts in the trenches, but got to put everything together. KU's offense needs to get back to what it was, because they've really struggled aside from the Oklahoma State game in the second half. We're going to hear as well from offensive coordinator Jim Zabrowski later this week. DK McDonald on the defensive side we'll hear from. Plus, we've got other players as well that we spoke to today that we'll have later. Jalen Daniels, as well as Dak Brinkley on
Blake
that
Harreld.
list, and Blake Harreld as well. So, stay tuned all week on Rock Chalk Sports in advance of KU and Iowa State, 11 a.m. on Saturday.
And also be on the lookout. You guess I didn't hear you if you said this. Be on the lookout for the next J School Jayhawks.
I did not.
Nolan Gorsica is going to be a part of that. Shout out to Trevor with the J School, sitting down and having a really in-depth discussion with Nolan Gorsica. We love the J School Jayhawks segment, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So be on the lookout for that on KansasNation.com and all of our YouTubes.
Yeah, YouTube, check it out, and give us a subscription while you're at it. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify as well. We really appreciate that. Rock Chalk Sports, Kansas Nation. After this, a couple game picks before we hear from Shay Wildeboor of Jayhawk Slant. You're watching kansasnation.com. Want to give a big shout out to Miles Schneier and everyone over at Crown Automotive for their partnership here at Kansas Nation. Really appreciate that. Crown Automotive, they are over in your neck of the woods, Stan.
They certainly are. Yeah, on South Iowa Street. Go ahead and check them out. If you're looking for a new car, they're going to treat you right. Best staff in town. I mean, really in all of Northeast Kansas. They're a great partner with us. So shout out to Crown Automotive. Also shout out to Game Day Men's Health over on the west side of Lawrence. Go check them out. Their interest is making your health better, right? And you know, whatever that may be, they have a plush man cave like setting. They have, you know, nurse practitioners on hand, doctors there. So be sure to go check out Game Day Men's Health. Really appreciate Mitch Bales and company for their partnership too.
Yeah, they're over at 4910 Corporate Center Drive, Suite 100. Awesome atmosphere, amazing service. Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Appreciate their partnership, and yeah, you got to get out and check out their space. It's really cool.
For sure.
All right, game picks. We've only got a couple that we're going to get into, and yeah, we're going to keep it to the Champions Classic
got some
right now.
stinkers today.
There are. You mentioned
Wait, you didn't do any stuff on Purdue Fort Wayne?
Utah against Purdue Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
Utah almost lost to someone terrible last week. I think they ended up coming back and
Does
playing.
Purdue Fort Wayne use the Purdue logo? Because I know like the Penn.
No, they're the Mastodons.
Okay, so the Penn State satellite schools all use the Nittany Lions, and it's always very jarring to me when you see like a Penn State satellite school lose to like Winthrop by like 40, and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa,
You're like, whoa, Penn
it's
State.
a different Penn State.
Oh, the Penn State basketball, that wouldn't be that surprising,
well,
right?
yeah, true.
K-State last night should have lost. They somehow won. Tulsa blew the game, and K-State won 84-83.
Heartbreaking.
So K-State, 29 points and 10 rebounds from PJ Haggerty. They are 4-0. K-State's going to put up a lot of points this year. Like I've said, we'll see against stiffer competition how that looks. But tonight, Daniel, let's start with the opener at Madison Square Garden. It is the Champions Classic.
Yes.
Michigan State haven't, I mean, bless their heart, they haven't
Okay.
won a championship since 2000.
So is it weird to you that Kansas is the lowest ranked team in the Champions Classic? Because every single year, at least for the last like 10 years or whatever.
Usually Michigan State's like unranked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like, oh, remember Michigan State was good back in like the Magic Johnson era? You're like, I guess, you know, they were fine, and they had Denzel.
It is weird.
Or Denzel Valentine, and
Yeah, KU also the biggest underdog, which we'll
Yeah.
get into here in a second. Of course, the news that broke earlier today that Darren Peterson will not be playing. Bill Self putting a statement out via KU Hoops on Twitter, and we have Shay Wildeboor coming next segment. Again, we had to pre-record Shay a little bit earlier in the day, so status of DP was a little bit uncertain at that time. So if it sounds a little bit weird, that would be why. But yes, DP officially, according to Coach Self, is out for tonight. But again, let's start these two game picks, Champions Classic with Michigan State, Kentucky. The Spartans are ranked number 17 in the country. The Wildcats number 12 in the country. Kentucky, of course, lost to Louisville recently, but the Wildcats are minus 4.5. Over under is 153.5.
yeah, these games are always really interesting. And look, Michigan State, I think, is a really solid program. My game pick for this one is going to be the under 153.5. I just think the Champions Classic games always go under, right? It's neutral site. You know, a lot of the kids, it's their first time at MSG, so maybe a little bit of nerves on that aspect as well. Also, I mean, look, Kentucky has a couple of really good players in Denzel Aberdeen and Otoga Owe. I think Otoga Owe is going to have a really good game. I think he's going to go over 16. I think it's at minus 120 right now. Jackson Kohler on Michigan State's been really solid. I think he has a game of his life. I like Michigan State on this line. I mean, it's 4.5. I think it's going to be really close. Michigan State could pull this one out late. 4.5 seems about right. I like Michigan State probably going to lose by about 4. So it's going to be close.
Jackson Kohler's been there a while, right?
Yes.
God, it sure seems like it. All right. Nightcap, of course, number 24, KU, 3-1. Number 5, Duke. They're 4-0 rather. Duke minus 11.5.
Yeah.
Dan, it's still kind of a shock to see that. Over under is 148.5.
So open up at 7.5, but all the way down to 11.5. And now the public seems to be reverting on that because the public likes Kansas on this line at 11.5. It's at minus 115, where Duke's at minus 105. 5. Over-under's 148.5. Again, I still like the under in this game. I think Kansas is going to muddy it up. That's going to be their entire game plan. They're going to try to limit Duke's scoring ability. They're going to try to play hard defense. I think Duke's going to do the same on the other end. So I love the under in this game. And then I'm going to do the Courtwright special. Hawks win, Hawks cover. Plus 490. Love it. Also, Melvin Council hits his first 2 threes of the year.
I'm excited for our open of the show tomorrow to break down how right you were. I
certainly
mean,
hope so.
right? Yeah. Hey, we got more KU basketball talk coming up after this. We are, in fact, going to be joined by Shay Wildeboor, Rivals.com, and Jayhawk Slant. You won't want to miss that. Not just previewing the game tonight, but KU basketball 26-27 as well with some incoming players. More coming up in the 5 o'clock hour on KansasNation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com, ESPN Kansas City. Sean Kellerman, Dan Courtwright rolling you through your Tuesday game day Champions Classic tonight, KU and Duke, Madison Square Garden. And we're going to be joined right now via Zoom by Rivals.com's Jayhawk Slants, Shay Wildeboor. Shay, appreciate you coming on to talk all things KU basketball. Hey, we got to start with the Darren Peterson stuff, right? Hasn't played the last couple games.
Right.
Have seen him in a limited capacity. I guess, what's your concern level at this point? I don't want you to give a percentage on if he'll go tonight or what, but just concern moving forward, because it's not the most important game of the year. It's one you certainly want to win, and it's one fans get excited about, but just moving forward regarding DP's injury.
Right. 2 weeks ago, I wasn't concerned. Now I'm concerned. I mean, you guys, a big game, obviously tonight against Duke. I'm going to go ahead and assume that he's not playing. You've got Las Vegas next week. I don't know what his availability will be. We haven't had a meeting with Coach Self since the Saturday night game, you guys know. So yeah, I'm concerned. I mean, here's the thing, you guys. Kansas invested a lot of resources recruiting this kid. We all know name, image, and likeness. We all know deals were made, and they put in a lot of time and resources to get him on campus. And what's he played in 2 regular season games, I believe?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. So yeah, you look around college basketball, and this class was billed as maybe the greatest freshman class of certainly my generation. And when he's not out there, I think there has to be a level of concern, because you're thinking at first it was he had cramps, and now we're looking at hamstring tightness. Bill Self is frustrated, and the thing that stood out the other day when he was met with the media, he said, we've got to talk about some things, and I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's with the doctors, with his people, or what's going on. So yeah, I'm concerned. I mean, tonight is a prime time game. One of the biggest games of the season. You build this game around guys like Cameron Boozer and Darren Peterson, and when you don't have one, it loses a lot of luster. And not only that, this team needs to come together as one, and they're not getting the opportunity to do that. Flory's the only guy back with experience from last year's team. They're young. They're inexperienced in terms of playing at this level at Kansas. And yeah, so I'm concerned. I don't know when he's going to come back. I really don't. I would think maybe in Vegas, but I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if maybe and I don't want to go extreme here, but maybe Big 12 play. I don't know. I just don't. I think you guys have both seen that coach is frustrated. Even before I asked him a question yesterday, and before I could even get it out, he said not playing. He's visibly, I think, frustrated, and wants to get the kid back on the court and kind of put an end to this.
Yeah, because the entire building of this roster was built around DP, right? I mean, you're not going, and it's no disrespect to these guys, but Trey White, Melvin Council, and some of these other pieces, they're not brought in as your first option by any stretch.
Right.
They're brought in to be good complementary pieces. And it's strange a little bit here at Kansas, Shay, because we're not used to being so heavily dependent on one guy, right? You look at the 08 title team and the 22 title team, 4 or 5 guys who can lead you any given night. And not that guys can't. We've seen, Flory and Trey White were great against Princeton, but that was Princeton, right? You need Darren Peterson to be the guy, and that's going to make everybody better. Plus, we talk about Melvin Council. He hasn't played well. He hasn't hit shots. He's like the token guy in my book who is just going to be a better player when DP is out there. So it adds an extra challenge.
Right. And my question is, you guys, tonight's going to be a challenge. There's no doubt about it. With or without Darren, it's going to be extremely challenging. So who do you turn to? If I say, hey, you guys, who's the one guy on this team that you can turn to? Who is it?
I mean,
let's just say,
gotta be Flory. You look at Bryson, look at Cole. I mean, but at the same time, you don't have a firm answer.
Yeah,
you don't have a firm answer. Yeah.
Right. So let's just say Bill draws up the game of a lifetime. Shots are falling. Everything's going KU's way. Duke struggles, and they're down 3 with 8 seconds to go. Who's going to take the shot?
Right. Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, who? I mean, or you're down 2. You need somebody to create off the bounce. I'm driving kick. Who's that guy? So I mean, it is a they just don't have a lot of options.
yeah.
They don't have a lot of options. And when Darren's on, he's averaging 22 points a game. He's opening up things for guys. He's the one guy that can create, get to the basket. You guys, he's a tough shot maker. I mean, he just makes shots that other guys don't make. He makes the game look so easy. He does things, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, it's just like he's there's no effort, but there's effort. But he just makes it look so easy. So yeah, it's a huge loss. And you turn and where does KU go now? I mean, they've got some big games coming up, and I'm not sure you can point to one guy and be like, he's got us. And I think that's what Darren brings. I mean, Cameron Boozer, you look at AJ Devanza, you look at Caleb Wilson, Nate Ahmet, Kona Pete, I could go on and on. Those are dudes. And fortunately for Kansas, their guy is out for what Bill Self called, a period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, for sure. Shay Wildeboor, Jayhawk Slant joined the show via Zoom, and Shay wanted to, kind of talk more so about this game. And to your point, like, yeah, we don't really have that firm answer, but there's almost like kind of like a weird silver lining with Darren Peters not playing. It's kind of forces the guys to figure it out. And we've seen Cole Rosario have a big game. We've seen Flory have a big game, right? We've seen different guys show up, but there's still not really that firm answer. And one guy I wanted to talk to you about was Bryson Tiller, because Bryson Tiller had a stretch of like 3 or 4 games where he just looked incredible, throughout. I mean, he was hitting 3-pointers. The Princeton game, a little flat, right? He only had 6 points, I believe. But looking at the forward that they have in Cam Boozer, right now our starting forward is Trey White, really high upside on the defensive end, but I just don't know if he's tall enough and big enough to really put some pressure on Cam Boozer. What are you expecting out of Bryson Tiller in this game against Duke?
He's got to stay on the floor. He can't. I think against Carolina, he was 4-4 the first half, 12 points, and I think in the second half he only played 3 minutes. Foul trouble. You got to listen, you guys. This is a kid that I knew that would be good at some point, but he's shown flashes of being the type of player that I didn't expect this early. I don't know if you guys remember that play against Louisville where he went baseline and dunked.
Yeah.
Right. He's getting out in transition, rebounds, hitting shots, and he's the one guy that can be kind of like a matchup nightmare for Kansas. You can play down low, he can step outside and hit shots. I just don't know if there's enough around. Like you said before, Sean, before we got on air, Flory could pick up 2 fouls in the first 2 minutes tonight, and then what? And then
you're gonna have to. I mean, you're gonna have to get 6 to 8 minutes out of him. Use 3 or 4 fouls on his front because Boozer's so good at drawing fouls, and he doesn't play very much, but he's gonna have to hack a few guys.
Right. And as we saw in Carolina, if other guys, if you take away Darren's performance against Carolina, I think they had 2 guys in double figures, one being Bryson. So if the other guys around him aren't clicking and things aren't coming together and shots aren't falling, if they're getting beat on the glass, if they're getting beat in transition, if they're not playing defense, I don't know if it really matters what type of performance he has if he's doing it alone. You guys saw what happened in Carolina. They gave up 58 points in the second half. 58 points, and Duke averages close to 100 points a game. You can't have that. I mean, you just can't. It doesn't matter what happens offensively tonight, unless these guys are ready to get after it on the defensive end. And you guys remember when Bill first got here, that was his forte. That was his thing. I mean, they got, like, defensively, the one thing I remember he told me early on is, if you labor to score, that's okay, but you got to make sure that the other team labors to score as well. And the way you do that is defensively. And I'm just, we're 5 games in. You've got guys in the starting lineup that a year ago weren't here, aside from Flory, who got a couple starts. So yeah, I think this might be I don't know what this. I think this is going to be a really good learning lesson for this team tonight. I think they're going to learn a lot about who this team is and what they're about. And it may not necessarily go the way everybody wants to, but I'm interested to see how some guys step up and how they perform. Because you guys they're going to hit a wall. I mean, the storm's going to come. They just got to find a way to weather it.
Seems like KU's got to hold Duke to high 60s to feel like they've got a shot. I mean, which is way easier said than done.
Where's the scoring going to come from?
Right. Yeah, you got to get
That's
hot, right? And that's
right.
the
I
thing.
mean,
It's to your point of who's that guy. I mean,
right.
you don't want it to
And
be
that's not a knock on anybody. I mean, all
yeah,
those they're great kids, and
bunch of
they want to be
individual
here, they want to
pieces.
do well. But I just with Darren out, um, you just limit a lot of what this team can do because it's not just about scoring for Darren. He just opens up everything else for everybody. He opens up the whole court. So yeah, I mean, Cole's going to have to hit shots. Um, Embiid's gonna, or I'm sorry, Embiid. Flory's gonna have to play big. I want to see. I think Trey White had what 18 and 8 the other night.
Yeah.
He's gonna need a similar performance. I said I'm getting ready to post a preview here. KU needs to hit double-digit threes. They can't. It can't be a night where they go 3 of 18 or 4 of 20 or whatever the case may be. They got to hit shots. They got to get to the free throw line. They have to play defense, and they have to weather the storm.
Well, that was gonna be my next question because I mean, you look at the last couple of KU teams. What's been one of the biggest issues? Obviously, free throw shooting. Not a lot of athleticism, but also 3-point shooting, right? I mean, the being able to hit the 3-pointer, and you look around the squad, other than like Bryson Tiller, Melvin 0 for 9 on the year. El Marco, he's really not showing up as a shooter, right? So I mean, even with Darren Peterson out there, he's going to be garnering a lot of double teams. He's going to be able to kick it out. Those guys still have to make those threes in order to be productive. How concerned are you about the 3-point shooting to this point?
Well, based on what I've seen so far, very concerned. I mean, you listen. When we say this every year, there's guys that have the ability to hit shots on this team. They just don't fall. I mean, we've seen it the last 2 years. I mean, Jaden Dawson was a guy that could hit shots. Cole Rosario can hit shots. Melvin is way better than 0 of 9. Bryson Tiller can hit shots. Elmore, there's guys on this team that can shoot. But for whatever reason, the last 2 or 3 years, they can't get shots to fall. It's been in trouble. The two things the last couple of years that they've had trouble with is obviously getting shots to fall and then getting a guy that can create his own shot and get to the free throw line.
Yeah.
You had that with Peterson, obviously, and that's gone. So yeah, that's the 3-point shot tonight is going to be magnified even more. I mean, it's just going to. And listen, you guys, Duke's a 10-point favorite, and they know it. John Shire's going to have it's Madison Square Garden. No Darren Peterson. It's going to be the Cameron. I'm guessing no Darren. Now they could come out in 5 hours and say, "Hey, he's good," but it's going to
the
probably.
prognosticators sure seem to think that there's no Darren. If you look at the line movement, nothing officially has happened, but yeah, the Gay's going to have some things go well for them tonight. We understand that we're not used to being in this position. But it's all about, honestly, like you said, Shay, if you have to hold them out until Big 12 play, do whatever it takes. And you're going to have to find a way to get some wins in the meantime. You can't just lose to Duke, UConn, NC State, Missouri. You just can't pile up losses. You're going to have to figure it out. And we've got a Hall of Fame coach. So certainly we have confidence it's going to happen. But, we got to get DP back for KU to be, close to best version of himself. But hey, let's talk about next year moving forward, just because that's come out a lot. And you guys do a lot of great coverage on Jayhawk Slant regarding incoming classes. 4 guys recently officially signed for KU. Just kind of maybe take us through those and one thing that you really like about those guys. We've heard Coach Self make comments on them, but looking like a top 2, top 3 class by pretty much every outlet.
Right. Take Kenny. You had to get a point guard. You had to. Darren Peterson's obviously going to be leaving. I'm not sure if you can. How do I say that? There's just nobody on the roster right now that's ready to take over for DP. You had to get a point guard. And the thing about the take anything is that it erupted late. From everything I was told, he was going to Louisville. Kansas got in there. Coach Self basically handed him the keys to the program and said, "Hey, you're taking over for this guy." And the thing I love about him is he's a winner. He can score from all 3 levels. He's a defensive guy. Doesn't back down from anybody, and he's passionate. He cares. There's a video out there if you guys want to go check it out. It's his last AAU game. He lost in tears. With his parents. "Hey, I let you guys down." And I think you need some of that fire and some of that passion. A lot of guys today just play. They just play. There's no affiliation, there's no ties. But with Tay, he's just a winner. Davion Atkins is you guys know those forwards that the Houston Cougars have that are just terrible? Yeah. That's him.
Yeah.
That's it. He's going to bring that. He's going to bring that same style, that same swagger. He's going to step out on the court, and he's going to bring a winning mentality. And you got same with Luke Barnett. You guys have seen Kansas. And I don't know all their names, Ali Farupanesh, a guy that just gets wild crazy against Kansas. And I'm not comparing him. I'm just saying there's always that guy once a year that just goes off. You know, he enters
Right.
the game getting 2 of 20, and then all of a sudden he has 5 threes against Kansas. Luke Barnett is the guy that's going to come in and hit some big time shots for Kansas. I don't know if it's going to happen right away. I think it's going to need a little bit of time to develop. But yeah, he's a big shot maker. I think he holds the school record of 55 points, 12 threes. He can shoot it from anywhere. So yeah, and the thing with Trent Perry is he's just a winner. I think Coach Self said it best the other day. He called up Christian Brown and they talked, and he said he's the guy you want on your team. He makes
Right.
everybody around you better. And here's the thing, you guys, with this class, there's not a star. There's not a Darren Peterson yet. You know, there's not that big star. But what you guys have is a collection of guys that are winners. You know, guys that want to play at Kansas, guys that want to be here. And you know, with NIL and everything, you have a certain level of I hate to use the word funds, but yeah, these guys came together, decided they want to all play together, and yeah, so I think it's a great class. I think they're still missing one key guy. I think that could happen. You know, I think that could happen at some point in the near future. But yeah, I love it. But I think you're a star. You're one big time recruit away from possibly having the #1 ranked class in the 2026 class.
I mean, you know,
Leads
speaking
us
of
to
that,
Tyran Stokes.
right? That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
so, yeah.
Let it right into it, Shay. I know
Right.
the Jayhawk Slant forums have been kind of going crazy about Tyran Stokes, and you were, you know, kind of the first one. You're not like a scoops guy or a breaking news guy.
Right.
You like to kind of, you know, be really certain. And when
Right.
you kind of came out with that, I mean, it was a little bit of a shock to everybody, right? I mean, Tyran Stokes, allegedly, I mean, Kansas is very much in the running, and he's very
Very much.
serious about, you know, coming to Kansas. You know, the Nike deal kind of confuses me. And obviously, you know, like Kentucky's there, Oregon's there. But tell me a little bit more about what you know about Tyran Stokes and that recruiting process and kind of where he's sitting right now.
Yeah, I got a call last week from a couple of people saying, "Hey, you need to make some calls about this Stokes thing." You know, at one point early on, it looked like Kansas was the favorite. Then it kind of bounced between Louisville and Kentucky, and then Kentucky. And now I'm here in Kansas. Yeah, and you guys, I hate to say this because you never know, but I just had a guy text me and say, "Hey, do you have your story ready?" Now I'm not saying that means anything. I'm not
Just
foreshadowing.
look it out for you just in case.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not dropping any hints, you guys, because anybody that knows me, guys, I've been doing this a long time, 24 years, and I've never been in the business of misleading or putting out information that's not correct or accurate or double checking.
Which we appreciate.
I think this is legit. You know, I think this has the potential to happen.
Wow.
And it could be a situation, you guys, where maybe he does something behind the scenes and waits to make an announcement. You know, I just know he got to Rainier Beach. Curtis Townsend, heavy influence. Heavy. You go back and look at some of the guys that played there that Coach Townsend recruited and has been involved with, and the head coach Mike Bethea. So yeah, heavy influence. So yeah, I think it wouldn't surprise me if something happens. Now, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, maybe not. But yeah, I'm not, if it gets announced next week that he's coming to Kansas, I would not at all be shocked. I'm not expecting it. But yeah, I mean, I think, and the thing with Kansas is their approach is, hey, we're going to stay in this thing. You know, he signed with Nike. We all know that, the money and all this and that. In Kansas with Coach Townsend leading the way, hey, we're gonna stick with this. You got Coach Bland, obviously, who's got ties out there. You know, we're gonna stick with this. We're gonna see what happens. We're not gonna do anything crazy. We're not gonna do anything drastic. We're just gonna keep doing what we've been doing, and it looks like it might pay off.
Yeah. Wow. Great stuff.
That's a huge difference. He's like you guys. He's a guy. Hunter Dickinson played with some swagger last year. You guys remember? I think he got kicked out of the Duke game, right?
Yeah.
If I remember,
Yeah.
he didn't finish. For the kick, he played with some swagger. Stokes plays with a lot of swagger.
Yeah. A little bit of Marcus and Markeith in him, a little FOE.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Like
Interesting.
it doesn't. Things come out of his mouth, and whether anybody likes it or not, that's just who he is. And so, yeah, it could be. It could be some good news in a few weeks.
Big shout out to Shay Wildeboor of Rivals.com, Jayhawk Slant for joining us, talking not just this year KU basketball and tonight's big game, but of course some news, some good players, some potential good players for next year's KU basketball team as well. Appreciate Shay Wildeboor. Again, Jayhawk Slant. They do great coverage on all things KU. More coming up on Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. It's a game day Tuesday, but in the mind of Dan Courtwright, more importantly, a top 10 Tuesday.
Well,
Dan, what do
as
we have?
You like to say that this is the appetizer to feast week.
How so?
I mean, I don't know.
Like this week?
You said the
The
you said
Champions
that at least
Classic.
This Champions Classic was a
Yes,
little bit of an
yes,
appetizer
it's
to
an appetizer.
this coming feast week.
See,
So
yes.
a little bit, some heavy hitting matchups at least throughout the week, especially the ones that are going on now. But since the state of the show for next week, because there's so many like weird games, and also we don't know if we're going to be working, or like what the show's going to look like on Tuesday or Thursday or whatever. Decided I'm going to go ahead and do a top 10. I'm going to do my top 10 sports figures that I want to invite to Thanksgiving and the side dishes they're going to be bringing.
All
Let me
right.
start off with number 10. Number
Let's do
10
it.
on my top 10 sports figures I will invite to my Thanksgiving and what side dishes they'll bring. Jameis Winston and a little bit of a non-traditional Thanksgiving food, crab legs.
Yes. He
Yeah.
loves crab legs.
He does love crab
Oh,
legs.
I'm loving this meal already.
And a side of W's.
Side
Remember
of
that?
W's.
Remember that was weird.
I do remember that.
He's
He's just
eating
eating
W's.
W's.
Eating W's.
How
Didn't
did
they
the
lose that
crab
game?
leg thing start again? And he's never played for the Ravens, which is weird because they're known for crab legs.
I know that is weird, but he did start for the Giants this
Yes.
past weekend. Only got 11 points in fantasy. Don't ask me how I know that. It's because he's on my team. That was hard. I had Jaden
Wow.
Daniels and Michael Penix Jr.
Oh man,
And it was a super flex.
That's just
And so
heartbreaking.
I only had 2 quarterbacks, so I had to pick up another one. And Jameis Winston was literally the only one available. So that one sucked. But yeah, crab legs. And plus I like crab legs. A little butter.
that would be a welcome addition to a Thanksgiving meal for me.
Crab legs.
Like I love
Now-
all the normal stuff, but
the-
I'm not like on Christmas. Like, what do you guys do on Christmas dinner? Do you guys do a ham and
cra- I
turkey
mean,
also?
Yeah. So I mean,
So it's like
usually-
similar
actually,
stuff. See,
over
it's
the
like
pa- no. So the past couple of years, my mom has made Mexican food. So
see, that sounds awesome.
it's great.
Says I
It's
don't
fantastic.
want a standard turkey and ham for
Yeah.
Christmas
No,
anyway.
no,
But
no.
yes, Thanksgiving, dude. I'm you know me,
Go
man.
crab-
I'm a huge
Crab legs can get messy though, like butter. Like I was at
Oh,
I was at
so
I was
good.
at Prairie Brand Casino, and I had a giant cup of melted butter, spilt it all over myself.
bummer.
It's just I mean,
Bummer.
it's
Were you
just-
staying? Did you have a change of clothes?
We did stay at the.
Really?
Yeah,
You guys don't seem like a commit to staying overnight type couple.
Why?
You seem like one of us is going to drive home at the end of the night couple.
No. Well, usually it's Piper, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was for like a Piper's work event, and
Yeah. Sometimes you got to commit.
yeah, it was great. It was fantastic. So I did have a change of clothes, which is nice. Number 9 on my top 10 sports figures that I would bring to Thanksgiving and what side dish they would have: Aaron Rodgers and fried mushrooms.
Why fried mushrooms?
Because the guy, he loves mushrooms. Don't you know this?
I don't think I knew that.
He loves mushrooms. Oh my God, he loves mushrooms.
I don't think I knew that. I thought.
He's made it like his whole personality over the last couple of years about how much he just loves mushrooms.
Okay. Okay.
Look, he'll eat mushrooms in like a cave.
Well,
you
no,
know,
that I believe. He'll pick them straight out of
Yeah.
the ground. Yeah, all
Yes.
that stuff.
Yeah, no,
Interesting.
it's yeah. He'll buy them.
So
for,
maybe just
he's got-
regular.
and plus he's got like special people who he gets his mushrooms
Oh,
from
I'm
too.
sure.
So that's a big one for him. But I like fried mushrooms. I've actually come to
Fried mushrooms would be
like
great.
a good like portobello. Yeah, that's
I
what I'm
feel
s-
like Rodgers-
What were you talking about?
I feel like Rodgers would be more likely to bring something similar, but not quite the same.
Sure, well, maybe
Yeah.
But I like fried mushrooms.
Not quite
Yeah,
the same as fried
I
mushrooms.
used to hate mushrooms because it was a thing that I hated that I just never like tried. I was like, oh, mushrooms sound gross.
Man,
but then I
you-
tried fried mushrooms. I was like, I'm in.
You
I'm
take them
all in.
Take them for a swim and ranch,
Yeah.
man. It's delicious.
I'm a big fan.
So you've got
Big-
Winston and Rogers, the law firm so far.
The
kicking
law
off your,
firm of Jameis Winston and Aaron Rodgers. Number 8, another NFL quarterback. I'm going with Tom Brady, and he's going to bring tofu that was made in a lab and bread that's didn't rise, so it's a little bit deflated. The bread that's deflated, obviously, that's just his thing. The tofu made in a lab. You were gone this show that I did at Sports Stock Market.
Uh-huh.
Tom Brady cloned his dog. Did you know this?
I did not know that.
He cloned his dog.
I remember hearing about this.
So his dog died in 2023,
Yeah, see,
and
that's kinda messed
beforehand
up.
he like took some blood, had it in like a cryo chamber, and then took it to this weird place that did like the dire wolves, and he cloned his dog.
Yeah, that's messed
What
up.
a lunatic!
I wouldn't do that.
Isn't that
That
insane?
is. So he has.
So he's gonna bring well, okay, I guess
I'm
and
shocked you
the
didn't
reason
say
it's-
plant-based protein.
So the reason
That seems like what he would
'cause
have brought.
People clone meat, right? There's like beef that's made in labs, but I picked tofu because he's on the TB12 diet.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
and
of
so
course.
he's watching his figure.
The
and then,
plant-based
like,
protein
beef makes you
counts.
bloated, and like it just like completely derails the whole effects of Botox, which as we know,
Right.
is a big part of his life. So
course.
but tofu that's made in a lab and bread that's a little bit deflated.
Okay. All right. I still think plant-based protein, but that I'll accept that. It is touchdown time.
Plant-based protein.
So are we going strictly NFL quarterbacks?
No. That brings me to my number 7.
Okay. So we're switching it up.
And by the way, the reason Aaron Rodgers is at number 9 is because I really don't want to hang out with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know. He's like that weird uncle that comes and you're just like
Yeah.
please don't.
I mean, I would rather spend time with Tom Brady and certainly rather with
Yeah.
James Winston.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but Aaron, like everyone's got that uncle that goes to Thanksgiving and you're like, oh God, he's gonna go on one of his rants. You know what I mean? That's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So
There's the fun uncle and there's the uncle that you just need
that's
to-
why he's at number 9. But
Yeah.
I have number 7 here, and he's a little higher on this list than I probably would have wanted him. But I think it might be fun. I'm gonna bring Jerome Tang. Now,
That's a terrible choice.
So what he's gonna bring is guests, but he's not going to bring anything else because he's really good at bringing guys in to Thanksgiving, but he brings nothing to the table.
Okay. I see.
I think that's just plus, and look,
I would have thought that he would have brought Tang.
no,
A
he
ni-
brings
a
nothing.
nice
He
orange
brings,
fruity-
He brings absolutely nothing to the table.
Okay.
But he's really good at bringing guys. Like he'll bring a lot of guys. Like he'll bring a party, right? He'll be like, "Hey man, like look at this kid. I brought him all the way from Memphis. I brought this kid all the way from Illinois and Michigan.
Yeah.
This is awesome. These are my buddies from the Big Ten. I brought them in. Now I paid them a lot of money, and also
And I'm bringing them.
I didn't bring anything else.
But what's
So-
for dinner?
But
Yeah.
yeah, hey, what's for dinner? Yeah, that's the kind of thing. So really good at bringing guys in, but just again, just doesn't bring a whole lot to the table.
And we just have Tang. I mean, that's
yeah,
they don't even make this. They don't even have like Sunny D. Sunny D. You could buy it
yeah.
drinkable from a bottle.
When's the last time you drank Tang?
Never in my life, I don't think.
Really, never.
No,
Gosh.
but okay. So Jerome Tang will come and just bring a bunch of guys, but won't actually bring anything to the table.
Won't bring anything. Doesn't bring anything to the
Okay,
table. Correct. Number 6 on my list of top 10 sports figures that I want to invite to Thanksgiving, and what side dish they're going to bring: Usain Bolt, instant mashed potatoes.
Okay. I don't know
'Cause-
the backstory on that.
So he'll bring the mashed potatoes, and you go.
And they're gonna be done very fast.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the thing. You're like, these are mashed potatoes. Like this should be physically impossible to make mashed potatoes in this short of time, and Usain Bolt does it every single time.
He's 39 years old now.
Shout out.
How
Is that
about that?
true?
Yeah,
Didn't he like a couple of years ago? Didn't he still run like a 3.940?
I believe it.
Like it's like he was like 37. It's unreal. It's unreal.
that's
Instant
crazy.
mashed potatoes. Also,
Very efficient. Very
quick-
efficient.
quick little side tangent for you, because my sister's weird and she doesn't like potatoes. Like she'll eat like fries and that's it.
What?
She doesn't like mashed potatoes at all.
Breakfast potatoes are my wife's favorite food.
So she doesn't like really potatoes at all. And so when I was a kid, my mother would make instant mashed potatoes, but she would lie to, I think I might have said this story before to you. She would lie to us and pretend that she spent hours on these potatoes. So she would literally
in
like
the KitchenAid with
she would like cut one potato in half, throw it in to the instant mashed potatoes, mash it up, and then she'd like throw some flour like on her apron, and she'd be like, "Ugh, I slaved all day on these mashed potatoes." Turns out it's just instant mash.
Shout out to Teresa.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
She had you guys believing until you were the age of
like 2 years ago.
Wow. All right.
No. This is like a recent development where I was like, I cannot believe I was eating instant mashed potatoes the entire time. And then like eventually,
But they were
like,
delicious.
well, yeah, they were good. But then eventually, I had like real mashed potatoes. And I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
what have I been missing
So
out on
my
whole
mom
life?
my mom will put the secret ingredient in mashed potatoes, sour cream.
Oh yeah.
Sour cream
Oh,
and
yeah.
butter.
Piper makes some good mashed potatoes.
Yeah?
She's like that's like her thing.
So
great.
but don't you have
That's
to
why
like
I look
buy
like this.
don't you have to
I
like
used to be,
buy
I used to be
potatoes
120 pounds before I
and
started.
you have to like peel the potatoes?
No, that's where you're wrong, sir. You leave the skins.
Well, yeah. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, of
Huge fan of
course.
the skin. It's got all the nutrients in it.
Of course.
So okay. So you don't peel them, so you just chop them up,
Chop them up.
throw them in a thing, sour cream, butter,
Mash
salt,
'em.
pepper, mash them. Mash them.
She's really good. She's got a little handheld blender.
Yeah, a
She's
little
good at
handheld
like
mixer.
she'd be like needs a little bit more half and half. She'd go boop. She's like a little bit boop right there. And she's
Little
good at
whipping
she
cream?
knows the or not half and half. The heavy whipping cream.
Of course.
Same thing. But
I think
yeah.
they're similar.
She's good
I
at
don't
it.
really know what
She's
either
really
of them
good at
are,
it.
but
Usain Bolt will bring instant mashed potatoes because like, and also everybody's gonna be like, oh, great.
Yeah.
But also it's Usain Bolt, so you're like, all right, cool. Yeah, you're gonna come in. You know what I mean? Number 5
number 5.
on my top 10 sports figures that I would invite to my Thanksgiving and their side dish is Udoka Azubuike. He would bring stuffing.
Yes, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Great
Thank you.
call. That's
Thank
what he
you.
does.
That's what he does.
That is what he
That's why
does.
he's really good at stuffing.
Yes. You know whose favorite Thanksgiving food is stuffing?
Nolan Corsica.
Nolan Corsica.
How did you know that?
I found it out on the latest edition of J School Jayhawks,
Oh,
which you
I
can
was-
find on kansasnation.com and YouTube.
Mine was just a guess.
Yes.
No, yeah, Udoka would bring stuffing.
Yeah.
Plus, he's like a bigger guy too, right? I mean, like he probably likes stuffing.
Doke, yeah, he's a pretty big guy.
Is stuffing big up in Utah? He's still Utah, right?
No, he's not still in Utah. I don't know where he's at right now. But I will say that stuffing is also my favorite Thanksgiving food. I don't think
Underrated
there's a
for
close
sure.
I don't think there's a close second.
When have you ever? Okay, so if it's your favorite Thanksgiving food, because like, and
We can get into this later this week,
no,
obviously, but
you eat mac and cheese all throughout the year. We don't like
yes.
pasta, but
Well, mac and cheese is not a
you eat mashed
Thanksgiving food.
potatoes all throughout the year. You eat green beans, a number of different Thanksgiving foods. When else do you eat stuffing?
You don't.
So, question for you: do you like stuffing because it's good and it's tasty and it's your favorite, or is it the McRib effect where it essentially gets taken away from you and it's like a novelty thing?
It might be, but believe it or not,
It's like,
they
oh,
actually sell stuffing all year long.
and why don't you buy it?
I don't know. Also,
If it's your favorite,
stuffing in a box, like how does stuffing actually work for real?
I think it's like croutons.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
and then you shove it in the turkey, and
You don't have
and
to.
I don't know.
I mean, that's the
anyway,
point. I mean,
it's
it's-
my
yeah, it's-
favorite, but it would be
that's why
my
it's called that,
favorite
but-
Thanksgiving food. There's no number 2. Number 3 would probably be cranberries.
There's no
Number
number
4
two.
would be
So then cranberries is number 2 then.
number 4 would be some sort of pie. No, there's a gap. There's a gap. Stuffing's number 1 by
That's
far.
still a number 2 though.
Well, it's number 4.
All right, number 4.
Top 10 list of people to bring to Thanksgiving feasts plus a side dish. They bring.
Number 4 on my top 10 sports figures that I want to invite to my Thanksgiving and the side dish they're going to bring. Shohei Ohtani. He's going to bring a charcuterie board as an appetizer and pie for dessert. Because you look at that, you go, there's no way you can do both. Yeah, you can't bring an appetizer and dessert. Can't be good at both. Turns out they're both great.
Yeah, and it's
and
a
they're both-
charcuterie board.
I know.
It's
fantastic.
kind of like his repertoire on the mound. Like he has
So
so
good.
many different things to offer.
And a lot, yes.
And just when you think he's
Yes.
done it all, bam, here's a pie.
Mm-hmm.
What type of pie? Don't think, just answer. Don't type of pie.
Pumpkin.
No, that's
Pecan.
pumpkin pie is maybe my favorite, but pecan I'll go with because that's more of a
Yeah, it
go
feels
for the
like
kill.
it feels like
Yeah.
Shohei for sure.
Ohtani, yeah.
But no, it's I think that's he brings 2 things because you go like Shohei, you didn't have to bring 2 things, and he goes. I
Well, it
wanted
makes
to
up
bring
it
2
makes up
things,
for
and
Jerome
they're-
Tang,
the
who
2
at this
things
point
are
is in
really
the
good.
corner
right. Doing with like yeah
with a bunch of guys just
he's
trying
like
to figure
thumbing
out.
through like $1
Trying to
bills,
figure out how
giving him giving him to Big Ten players who average 9 points a game. Oh man, number 3 on my top 10 sports figures that I want to invite to my Thanksgiving, and what side dish they're going to bring. Patrick Mahomes, and he'll bring ketchup and mac and cheese. Mac and cheese with ketchup on it. More
Why
specifically.
mac and cheese?
So he's actually
I
talked
figured
about this.
steak and ketchup.
So he's talked about this before. Steak's not a Thanksgiving dinner, or steak's not
Yeah.
a Thanksgiving thing.
But
He's talked about this. He puts ketchup on his mac and cheese, and so that's why he's at number
that
3.
is weirder than steak.
So I know
That
So
is so messed up.
Patrick
And I
Mahomes,
hate ketchup.
Patrick Mahomes would be number 1, but the fact that he's bringing mac and cheese with ketchup on it bumped him down to 3.
Awful. Yeah.
It bumped him down to 3. I don't like it. And here's the thing:
So you got
I'm sure
Mahomes,
me and
Brady, Rodgers, and Winston already in
Mhm.
this from the NLV quarterback side of things. And then you've got a bunch of random other
Yeah,
people.
I wouldn't say random.
That's ketchup and mac and cheese is disgusting.
Correct.
Like I can handle the ketchup and steak if that's what he
Yeah.
wants to do, but
But because I know you don't like ketchup, if it would turn you into the greatest quarterback of all time, would you eat ketchup every day?
yes.
Okay.
It would be worth it for the
There you
money.
go. Maybe that's
Yeah,
what
I don't
Patrick Mahomes is
hate
doing.
it as much.
Maybe
There's
he-
nothing that I
maybe
hate.
he sold his soul to Heinz or something.
Yeah, could be.
Maybe. You never know. But that's why he's at number 3. He would be number 1, like I said. But the mac and cheese with ketchup on it, it's not going to be a crowd
Deservedly knocks him
favorite.
down.
That is that lid's not coming off that. Okay, unless Patrick Mahomes is over there. There's going to be one corner of it, and this is going to be on his plate. Nobody's touching that stuff. Nobody's touching that stuff. Number 2 on my top 10 sports figures that I want to invite to my Thanksgiving, and what side dish they're going to bring? Travis Kelce, and he's going to bring sourdough bread that his fiance made.
Yes, she's been getting into that recently.
She has been.
Isn't like the process of making sourdough kind of gross?
Maybe. I know there's like there's like sourdough starters, and like there are some that have like been in families for like generations, and they're just like
Yeah, isn't that? I mean, that's gross, right? Like,
You-
what's a sourdough
yeah.
starter?
it's like it's like bacteria and yeast.
Yeah.
Isn't yeast a bacteria?
So it starts according to Al Overview. You'll
Your
need
good friend,
yes,
Al.
Al
Yeah,
Overview.
of course.
He says that you'll need an active sourdough starter, bread flour, water, and salt. So, generally normal ways to make bread.
Sure.
But like, how much are we talking of
So
this
I
active
know, like,
sourdough starter?
I know my fiance got a little bit of a sourdough starter. Like one of our friends who lives in Lawrence, she had a sourdough starter in like a jar, and my fiance
Huh.
like took like a little bit of it and took it home, and she made sourdough bread one time.
That is so weird.
Isn't that crazy?
Anyway, but T Swift is
She's big into sourdough. She's a
Yes.
big baker.
You didn't say girl. You said girlfriend.
I said fiance.
Okay.
I said fiance.
You're getting better at that.
I have fiance written down. Yeah.
There you go. Well done.
Yeah. They're engaged. I would never call a fiance a girlfriend. I'm just
So-
kidding. I accidentally do that all the time.
So Kelsey and Mahomes are 2 and 3.
Yes. Drum roll. Number 1. Todd Reesing.
Okay.
And he's bringing Texas Roadhouse rolls.
Yeah.
Mm.
The Texas
So
Fun
good.
Slinger and a Long Island iced tea.
And a bowl of oranges.
That would have been better.
That would have been better.
That would have been better.
That would have been way better. I like the Texas Roadhouse rolls though.
See, but you can't bring a bowl of oranges because you told me that I couldn't bring whatever the other thing was because it wasn't a Thanksgiving food.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, oranges can be.
Have you ever had the 7-layer Jello?
Rolls, though, which granted,
That's another thing on my top 10 that people would never have. Top 10 Thanksgiving foods like this Jello, the 7-color.
7-layer Jello.
It's like 7 different Jello colors on top of each other, and then you scoop one, and it's like a big block of rainbow Jello. So good.
That's fascinating to me.
So good.
Never,
It is.
never in my life have I had that. It's
Any real quick?
Uh,
Any honorable mentions?
I just have one. Marshawn Lynch. She's gonna bring Skittles.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'll go through it real fast. So Jameis Winston, he's bringing crab legs. Number 9, Aaron Rodgers bringing fried mushrooms. 8, Tom Brady, he's bringing tofu that was made in a lab and bread that's deflated. That's the first bread on this list. I have 3 different breads on this list. 7, Jerome Tang, he's bringing guests and nothing else. Like I said, he's good at bringing guys in. Doesn't bring anything
Bringing
to
nothing
the
to the table.
Number 6, Usain Bolt, instant mash. 5, Udoka's bouquet stuffing. 4, Shohei Ohtani. It's bringing an appetizer and dessert, charcuterie board, and a pie. 3, Patrick Mahomes, mac and cheese with ketchup. 2, Travis Kelce, sourdough bread that his fiance made. And number 1, Todd Reesing, Texas Roadhouse rolls, and a bowl of oranges.
Bowl of oranges, right? And a Long Island iced tea. That's got to happen. Top 10 sports figures to invite to your Thanksgiving dinner, plus a side dish they bring. Well done, Dan Courtwright. After this, we're going to hear from Nate Lee, KU head soccer coach on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, and KansasNation.com. KU soccer on to the second round of the NCAA tournament Thursday at 3 against Louisville. Let's hear from head coach Nate Lee.
How much does it change? You talked about Louisville and Kentucky the other night after the win. Now you know who it is. How much does that change?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Right. We Saturday was an interesting experience because part of me wanted to just take a break from soccer, and a mental break, a family break, a beautiful weather break. But then the team that we were going to play next was facing off on TV, and so managed to actually not be around the TV for parts of it, but by the end of it, my whole family was locked in watching PKs. Either team we were going to play is very good. Don't think there was a right answer on who we wanted to play. If you can answer not really excited to play either, would probably been fair. But that's how it goes this time of year. So now that we know that it's Louisville, we could refine our game prep. We can really get into the scout. We can talk about any game planning that needs to take place. So it becomes more real for sure.
Anything else? Obviously you're already familiar with Louisville, but anything else you've learned about them that's maybe surprised you, or that has particularly stood out in the last few days?
I was pretty familiar with Louisville as a program for the last however many 5-10 years. Even back to my days at Cincinnati and Miami, we played Louisville during those stretches, and Karen was the coach. I think I mentioned it before. This year, from the beginning, they looked different, substantially different, felt different shape, different identity, I'd say. Probably an extra level of I don't know if buy-in would be the word I use, but like you could tell right away when I saw them play that this is a real team. I think the first match I watched them play this year was against Florida State. Pretty shortly after we had played them, you start cheering for the teams that you played and all the RPI stuff. And Louisville very much went toe to toe with Florida State, and that was a close game that Louisville was knocking on the door towards the end to try to tie it up. So that one, I was like, huh. And so it probably brought me back to watch some of their other games, and they dismantled some teams in the non-conference. They were dropping goals left and right, but I think what's even more impressive is just the run they made through the ACC. And so I think the only games they lost were against like top 5 teams in the country. They were able to beat the Virginia Techs and I believe the Clemsons of the world, and so it's a very good team. They're good in possession, but they don't just do it for possession's sake. That they have the team working very, very hard. They've got a lot of athleticism. It's a very good team.
It's not back-to-back nights or anything crazy, but is there any advantage to knowing that they had to go extended time to get through round one, or is that not just too far apart?
Honestly, I think at this time of year you find a way to get to refill the tank. So even when we went Monday, Wednesday in the Big 12 tournament, which we hadn't had to do all year, I'm sure the players were tired, but I don't know if you would have been able to tell that evening. When the stakes rise, you kind of find a way. So if given the choice in an absolute vacuum, people would probably take the extra rest, but I don't really think it provides much of an advantage.
You've talked about the way you guys changed shape and how it's helped you. Obviously, those two we were just talking to were kind of big parts of that.
Yeah.
How have you seen them adapt to their new roles over the course of the last month or so since you did that?
I've been really impressed by both Emily and Livy's ability to adapt to new role. So, Livy's was completely different, going from the middle of the park and an attacking role there to being a wingback, which I don't think she's ever really played that role. It's a big difference. To me, I think it feeds into a lot of her biggest strengths. She's really dynamic out there, and her service can be really dangerous with both feet, but there's a set of defensive responsibilities that's different. You might have to defend your own box a little bit more. You might have to get run at 1v1 more. So not an easy transition, and right from the start, I thought she's done well with it and continues to grow in each game. I think Emily Tobin's was borderline seamless, which is real challenging to move to center back. That position in our system and with our coaching is pretty demanding and has probably thrown a lot of people through some growing pains. I think Emily's growing pains probably took place more last year or the beginning of this year, and all the work that she did to even be successful at wingback and all the video and all the conversations of how everything works within our system probably allowed her to understand, okay, well, it's not that much of a difference, even though most people would feel that it is. But honestly, from day one, I think maybe Iowa State was the first time we did that. We were sitting there on the bench and being like, man, she looks like she's been doing this forever. And I thought she was, very, very, very solid throughout the Big 12 tournament. So impressed with both of them for sure.
What do you think about just the format of the tournament, that you have this first one at home, and now these next two are going to be in Durham no matter what, as opposed to maybe having the first two at home and then whatever happens next happens?
As a 3 seed, it would be nice, having another one at home. I think if you're a different seed, you're like, it's fine. No, I know there's been talk, and they've shifted it around through different years of who gets home when, and is it a 1-game weekend or is it a 2-game weekend? I'm not just saying this. I'm right now, I'm pretty happy just to be playing, and whether it's at Rock Chalk or whether it's in Durham or whether it's wherever, we'd be pretty happy playing. As we grow as a program, if you talk to the TCUs of the world or the Penn States of the world, or they oftentimes plan and think beyond this weekend, and very much have experienced the difference between being a 2 and a 3 seed, or a 1 and a 2 seed, because that team theoretically gets to host the Elite 8 game. I do hope and think that we'll grow into a program that maybe has those sort of issues on mind throughout the year. Right now, I'm not quite as concerned. I think it's how it's been done the last couple of years. I think it's fair. It makes me wish we would have won the 2 seed. And I think I've said it before, we might have been in contention with that for had we won the Big 12 final. But that was that part was in our control, and we didn't get it done, and so no complaints at all with the situation we're in.
And if you had to sum up I guess the overall personality of your team, top to bottom, reserves and starters, you've got Lexi and Jill, who are your top goal scorers, who are pretty selfless. Carol is one of the best players in the country, who wouldn't tell you that herself, right? What would you say the identity or personality of this team as a whole is?
I just had a conversation about this morning. Ran into an alum at the Roost this morning as I was going to a recruiting meeting, but was talking about our team, and we get the academic report every Monday, and every time I go through it, I'm like, holy cow, like it's a whole lot of A's for whatever it's worth. This is a team that takes care of business, responsible, great in the classroom. These aren't just filler words. They're like great representatives of the University of Kansas and KU athletics. They handle themselves with class. They are grateful. They treat people well. They treat each other well. I've had next to no issues at all this entire fall, and that's coming off of spring, where at the end of it, I'm just like, I didn't even realize as it was going on, but we didn't have to deal with a single issue this spring. So whether that's academics, whether that was disciplinary, we give them a lot of freedom in the spring. No one took that the wrong way. No inner team fighting, which is natural on any team. You're in tight quarters and you're competing against each other. So this is a group that works for each other, cheers for each other, is willing to do the work, is willing to take criticism. What I don't know, and what's going to maybe show up, and we're going to have to find out here, is like to what extent are we just straight out winners, and to what extent do we have the person who's going to will us to that victory, and how deep are we willing to go, and how like all that extra stuff. I know we're going to hit any sort of like threshold for a normal student athlete or a normal team, but the teams that do special things usually have special players pulling them along, or special will, or whatever it may be. That's where we'll see. I think there are certain players that can probably do that in our team, and it's a huge ask. This is the time of year that it would sure be nice to have those heroes emerge.
Do you pull them aside, whoever they are, and say, hey, need this or whatever, or is that not part of it?
A little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's fair to do to every player, and it can be a big burden, for players that's not the easiest thing to hear, right? And so we try to find that balance of, with a group of women, can I still say man management? It's a term kind of in coaching of like, you manage the whole team, but then individually, how do you get the most out of that player? Try to find that, but within sort of the construct of the team, where it's not just singling people out. I don't think it's fair to go win us a game. I do think it's fair to say, hey, you're a personality player on this team, and like we need to see your personality now. And your best skill set might be blank. This is the time that we need it from you. And yeah, I do think we have some of those players, and this is the time of year that the big time players make big time plays in big time games.
Kind of related, but I guess how would you assess the demeanor with which your team's approaching this week? It's uncharted territory for basically everyone except the coaching staff to get past the first round.
Yeah. It's business as usual, but there's a little bit of the shuffling of the deck, where even just playing on a Friday, it was a little bit like disorienting, being off on a Saturday, and then we actually trained Sunday, which we never do. Today is usually our off day, but we're actually going to train because tomorrow's going to end up being a travel day. And, all that is being done in real time, because it depends on when your flights are. And if we could, we would train out in Durham tomorrow, but that's not going to be an option. And so we changed some things around. Again, this is where I have a lot of confidence in this group, is like, we can move training from Sunday to Monday. They're going to be fine. They're going to perform today, and they're not going to use it as an excuse for Thursday. What I do think is just different is people have to maybe shuffle around academic stuff, which matters to them. One of the decisions we had to make was, I already said it to most of this group, is like, I don't think we played our best or near our best on Friday. And we as a coaching staff had to make a decision, just write it off. We won. it was a different kind of game. Let's just let it go, or address it and talk about what we need to do better in order to win our next game. And we went that route, the latter route. And so on Saturday before training, we essentially sat down with 20 clips of like, hey, this is stuff that we need to get better. This is stuff we'll get punished if we don't. And I think the team took it the right way, but you never quite know as a coach. And so we're getting close to uncharted territory too. Like this, it's not like, it's not like our coaching staff is going on back-to-back national championships or anything too. Like we're working to try to break through our respective ceilings, and the cool thing is we get to do it together.
Exciting week as usual for KU Athletics. That's Nate Lee and KU Soccer. They get underway Thursday at 3 for the second round of the NCAA tournament. KU Volleyball has matches on the road both Wednesday and Friday. The Utah Swing. KU football heads to Ames Saturday, 11 a.m. against Iowa State. And then tonight, Dan, the Champions Classic for number 24 KU basketball. No Darren Peterson tonight, but looking forward to the challenge, right? This is what kids dream of. These other guys, they have talent too. That's why they're here playing basketball at Kansas. A key to the game, perhaps, to beat the number 5 ranked Blue Devils.
Yeah, key to the game. I mean, it seems simple and straightforward. You got to hit your threes, right? Melvin Council's got to see a couple go through the hoop. Cole Rosario's got to see a couple go through the hoop. Got to make your threes. We know that's a big weakness of Duke, so let's capitalize on it.
Coverage will start with the Crimson and Blue Show very shortly here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. For Elijah Schmidt running the operations and Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying stay tuned tonight, kansasnation.com for all your KU basketball coverage. We'll see you tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports, kansasnation.com, ESPN, Kansas City.